My friend, I full-heartedly believe that if you are unsure what you're feeling, you'll never be able to complete your healing. In this lesson, we are going to dive together into this emotional sea of turmoil and chaos, confusion and frustration. We're going to dive into the sea of emotion together, and we're going to begin to gain emotional clarity so that we can understand what we're feeling, so that we can feel it in order to heal it. A lot of the times, when we go through a traumatic event, such as a divorce, a separation, a heartbreak, a loss, we oftentimes run to emotional coping mechanisms that oftentimes we think they're helping us, but in reality, they're only putting a temporary band-aid over the wound, and we never heal. And we end up bleeding on someone that never hurt us. And so we need to fix that. We need to heal that. We need to understand that. And the first step to emotional healing is to understand the emotion in and of itself. So that's what this week's about. Listen, this is going to be technically easy, but it's going to also be very difficult because I need you to get in tune with your heart and with your higher self and with your greater self. I need you to tune into your heart and out of your mind. I need you to tune inward rather than outward. I need you to focus on you rather than them this week. And so we're going to take a deep breath, and we're going to face these emotions together, because this week is going to, like I said, it's going to be easy, but I don't want to give you something too overwhelming, too difficult, too much to handle. I don't want you to become too overwhelmed because you're already overwhelmed from the separation, from the heartbreak or the divorce. And we need to bring peace to that a little bit. And I think when you gain emotional clarity over something, when you identify what you're actually feeling and you put a name to it, you're going to be able to control it. You're going to feel like you have power over it. And when you have power over something, you can change it. So we're going to take the power back by getting out of the victim mindset, the poor me mindset, the mindset that says I can't. And we're going to step into the mindset that says I can, that I will, because I must move on. And so this week, we're no longer going to suppress, repress, or express or escape our emotions. We're going to deal with them. We're going to focus on them. And we're going to take them one emotion at a time and be patient, be loving, be forgiving, and allow ourselves to experience whatever it is that must be experienced so that we can ultimately let it go, so that we can ultimately heal, so that we can ultimately find peace in the chaos, control in the chaos, so that we can create happiness during the heartbreak and reclaim our life in the singleness. And to do that, many of us need to understand that, we need to feel what we fear so that we can move through what we must in order to let go of it. So that's what this week's about. It's about gaining that emotional clarity and taking it one step at a time. And so, like always, my friends, let's just dive right in. So, if you are currently feeling like someone who, hasn't felt their emotions in a long time, you've felt overwhelmed by them, or you don't understand what your emotions even feel like because you closed off your heart and the only emotion that you currently feel is just miserable pain, low vitality, low aliveness, low energy, low motivation. Many people are simply not taught to be in touch with their emotional side of their heart, or their emotional side of their mind. And they oftentimes close their hearts down after a separation and heartbreak. When I'm asking you to open it up, come on, that's the way to heal it. You got to open it up. And in relationships, oftentimes the reason why we fail at relationships because we've lived with a closed heart for so long that when we enter a relationship, our heart is currently closed off to their love. And then when we start to become more vulnerable, toward them, our heart opens back up and we end up bleeding on the person that never cut us, meaning we bring in our past issues into this new relationship, blaming our new partner for things that they never did because of our insecurities and problems in the past. Leave the past in the past, step into the present, take control of your emotions so that you can live in harmony with your significant other. That's going to be the power behind this. Is you're going to be able to move into the present, take control of the present moment, and you're going to be able to stop hurting people that never hurt you. And so many people are simply not taught how to be in touch with their feelings and educating themselves on how to regulate them in a healthier, non-destructive way. So this is where we begin. We begin here today together. This week is all about giving yourself the space, the kindness, to understand and identify the feelings and the emotions that you're currently experiencing. It's allowing them to be, and just allowing them to be, not trying to change everything, not trying to push it away, not try to avoid it, not try to give it a name where it's like, like you claim it as your identity. It's just an emotion, and we're supposed to feel it. That's why it's there. Emotions act as a compass. You see, emotions are a beautiful thing to experience. When we feel bad emotions, oftentimes when we feel bad emotions, it's because we're off target. We're off our true north. We're living out of alignment to who we know we can be and want to be. And when we feel positive emotions, that's when we start to live more in alignment to who we know we want to be and can be and are being. You see, our emotions are indicators of whether we're on the right path or we're on the wrong path. So to ignore your painful feelings is to ignore your life and to ignore the path that you're currently on. You see, you can change it. And see negative emotions as a great indicator to realign yourself, to take control of yourself, to put you back on the right path so you start to feel better again. It's a beautiful process, my friend. So we are going to help you identify the emotion that you're currently experiencing this week so that you can name it, take control of it, so you don't continue to feel stuck in it and keep repeating it, because a lot of the stuckness is in the idea that you just don't know what you're experiencing besides you're just hurt. Your body hurts. Your mind is fatigued. Your emotional being is crying out for help. Someone help me. I need you. I can't do this alone. And so this week we're going to implement some practices that you have to learn how to use on a daily basis. And it's a practice that I like to call just emotional awareness, because regardless of what you were taught, it's an important lesson to learn about and understand your feelings and emotions, including how they feel and how they manifest in your body. So we will discuss why this is an important skill to learn, and then we're going to go add it to your tool belt so that you can use that tool whenever you want to, so that you can freely feel it in order to heal it and to push it and to move it and to allow it to just run its course into completion. Because a lot of the times our emotions get trapped. We feel it, right? So let's say we start here. We get hurt and we only feel a certain amount of it. So we never complete the full circle. It's only like 25% of the circles ever completed. So we get hurt and we stay stuck in the 0 to 25% range. We never go to the 50% range where we're like doing okay, we can manage it. A lot of times we just stay stuck in the 25% range. We're like, I'm hurt, and then we're just always hurt, and then we become like this identity of always taking the victim mentality and always being hurt, and we just feel then angry and then sad and then scared and fearful and all sorts of unhealthy emotions that we don't want to consistently feel over the long term. So we will discuss why it's important to add this skill to your tools, your tool belt, your emotional tool belt, and also uncover some helpful tips to help you get in touch with your own feelings so that you can begin to open your heart back up. The reason this week is so important is because ultimately I have come to learn that if you are unaware of what you are currently feeling and what's causing you to feel that way, you'll never be able to heal it. A lot of you are like, okay, well, this is simple stuff, Tyler. Well, but have you spent the time and used the proper tools to navigate through these emotions so that they can actually complete the process, meaning move through your mind and body and let them go? This next 4 weeks or these next 4 modules or however long it takes you to get through this next couple of time frames that we're going to spend together, we're ultimately going to learn how to release these a little bit at a time. Because it's going to be very hard for those people that are like, okay, just get it out. I mean, like, that's not how this works. It's not a vomit. It's not like a quick blah. It's like, we got to release it slowly. It's like tearing off a Band-Aid. You got to sometimes just like, it hurts, they say to rip it off quickly, but I'm telling you, if in this specific case, you need to learn how to rip it off slowly. How come? Because you're going to miss it if you don't. So I'm going to help you understand what you're feeling and why you're feeling the way that you do so that you can move on through this emotional experience and begin to gain acceptance over it, power over it, and also reclaim the control over your life. So Excuse me. Here we go. I hope you're following along okay. So, emotional acceptance promotes mindfulness, right? Or the ability to see the emotion for what it is without judging it or attempting to get rid of it or push it away before it's ready to be removed. Think of emotions as waves of energy that flow through our bodies, okay, and communicate to us effectively. We are built to feel a full spectrum of core emotions such as anger, fear, joy, sadness, excitement, jealousy, and disgust. These core emotions will help us to understand, to connect, and to ultimately communicate with ourselves and with others. And feeling our emotions has been one of the most important parts to our healing recovery and our evolution in our survival as a species. And ultimately, when we feel these emotions fully, these emotions can help us to be able to feel more fully alive and connected to life. You see, when we suppress emotions, we oftentimes close ourselves down to aliveness and feeling connected and supported. When we begin to feel and become one with our emotion, we allow ourselves to express it and move through it. Ultimately, we'll feel more connected and more alive because we're allowing this energy to flow through us rather than get stuck in us and build up in us. So, unfortunately, over the years, many of us have been taught to believe that emotions are the enemy and that they need to be tamed. They need to be pushed down. They need to be numbed. They need to be controlled. When you feel depressed, we just go on a pill. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying it's a way of suppressing. It's a way of numbing it. It's the way of controlling it. There are healthier ways in which you can begin to work through these emotions that you're currently experiencing. So we've also always, many of us, come to believe that our emotions, and therefore that we are our emotions. Most of us believe that we are our emotions, that our emotions are who we are. So when we feel like we feel, pain, we feel like we are pain. We don't see this separation that we are the experience, we are the awareness behind the experience. We are the person who's aware of the pain, not the pain in and of itself. So I'm the awareness behind the pain. I'm the one that it's experiencing the pain that never changes. And I know that's a little deep, but ultimately, like, there's this awareness behind you, and you are the person who's experiencing it. And you are not the pain. You're just, once again, noticing it like a passing cloud. So we've become a long while ago, we all started to accept that our emotions are who we are. And therefore, when we believe that our emotions are the enemy and need to be tamed, they need to be pushed down, they need to be numbed, they need to be controlled, we adopt this belief that because we are our emotions, we ourselves are the enemy. No wonder we treat ourselves so badly. When we don't want to feel our emotions, we don't want to feel ourselves. When we don't want to connect to our emotions, we don't want to connect to ourselves. And when we're not nurturing ourselves, taking care of ourselves, allowing us to experience ourselves, then we're slowly decaying and depressed and dying and feeling miserable. Our hearts become closed, our minds become numb, our bodies become sore, our life becomes lifeless. And so it's because we've identified ourselves with these emotions. We say that we are these emotions, and then we classify these emotions as our enemy. And then when we experience these emotions, we ourselves are experiencing the enemy. And so we do everything that we possibly can to push, to repress, to suppress, to escape, and to express the emotions away. I'm going to give you another way that we can begin to deal with this. So ultimately, we are going to understand that we no longer need to tame our emotions. We no longer need to try to push them down, numb them out, or control them. We just need to allow ourselves to feel them. And in doing so, you'll be able to release them because you're allowing yourself to experience them. When you don't allow yourself to experience something, when you try to put something to a stop, you're not being able to move on. You're not letting go. You're holding on. Because most of the time when we try to stop something, it causes us to put more focus on that something. And it never stops. It never ends. If you try to control your thoughts when you come to think about your ex, I'm sure you have. It's going to be impossible because you're trying to stop thinking about them. And every time you try to stop thinking about them, the more you actually think about them. And so I know you have noticed this, but ultimately, as we continue on here, we are going to face our emotions together. And ultimately, when we talk about this, I'm going to share my screen with you here because I think we should go through this together. So I'm going to give you some definitions. And then I'm going to give you your exercises. But ultimately, just understand that this week's really about you need to spend time becoming more aware of the emotions that you're currently experiencing, because what you don't, or what you're unaware of, you cannot heal. So if you can't name it, you can't heal it, because you don't know what it is. You don't know what's there. You don't know what's troubling you. You just know you feel bad. And I promise you, there's this freedom that's going to take place. I'm going to give you a really cool tool, by the way. But there's this freedom that takes place that ultimately that you're going to be like, oh, that's it. I do feel that. Ah, feels good that I have a name to it. It's good that I know it. Like, if you ever like this going off a little tangent here, but have you ever we're talking to someone in a conversation, and then you're thinking about like telling them about someone in the past, and you're like, but you forget their name. It's like on the top of your tongue, and you're like, geez, can't remember it. And it causes a little like annoyance, right? A little frustration, this little nuisance. Well, the same thing happens when we don't put a name to our emotions. We feel that in a deeper level. So the definitions here that I really want us to focus in on, because ultimately these are the three definitions, and they're the three major ways of handling our feelings that oftentimes don't allow us to heal our feelings. And so when I bring these to you, the forefront of your mind, you're going to be like, wow, I either do one, two, or three, or I do all three of them. And if you do all three of them, or do two of them, or do one of them, you'll understand why you're not healing your emotional battle. So ultimately, let me go ahead and share my screen with you, my dear friend, because ultimately I want to make sure that you're reading this along with me. So definitions here that are important. We have three major ways of handling feelings, and suppression is one of them, expression is another, and escapism is another. So suppression and repression, these are the most common ways we push feelings down and put them to a side. In repression, this happens unconsciously. In suppression, it happens consciously, meaning we're aware that we're suppressing it down. So we don't want to be bothered by feelings, and besides, we don't know what else to do with them. So we just don't want to be bothered with them. So we sort of suffer through them and try to keep functioning as best as we can. You see, the pressure of the suppressed feelings is later felt as irritability, mood swings, tension in the muscles, tension in the neck and back, headaches, cramps, menstrual, disorders, colitis, indigestion, insomnia, hypertension, allergies, and other somatic conditions. It's crazy. When you suppress or repress an emotion, it oftentimes shows itself in the body. In the future, you're going to go through a meditation. It's kind of more of an awareness meditation of your mind and body, and your mind and body connection. And what you're going to realize is how much emotional poison you're holding in your body. So if you're constantly feeling, neck pain, back pain, headaches, cramps, indigestion, insomnia, hypertension, allergies, all of these somatic conditions, is because you're suppressing and repressing emotions that are locked in your body that haven't allowed themselves to escape yet. So ultimately, this step one is ultimately learning what is inside of your body, what emotion you're currently experiencing, so that you can begin to let it go. And when we repress a feeling, it is because there is so much guilt and fear over the feeling that it's not even consciously felt at all. Hold on one moment. Excuse me. Sorry there, I had a cough. I didn't want to be rude. So the mechanics, okay? So the mechanisms in and of itself are used by the mind to keep the feeling repressed. These are the mechanisms. Okay, the mechanisms are super important for you to understand. You either deny it or project it. So when you suppress it or repress it, you ultimately deny that you're currently feeling something, or you project it. Okay, so denial. What do I mean by denial? When you deny something, well, ultimately results in major emotional blocks. Denial always results in major emotional blocks. When you experience denial, it's because of the guilt and fear that we feel. And so we repress the impulse of feeling it, and we will deny its presence within us. Instead of feeling it, we deny its presence within us. That's denial. Projection, on the other hand, instead of feeling it, we project it onto the world and those around us. We blame people, places, things, institutions, food, whatever it might be. We blame other people. We don't take responsibility for it. So when we suppress and repress, these are the most common ways that we push our feelings down and put them to a side. In repression, this happens unconsciously. Suppression, it's consciously. So understanding that we oftentimes either suppress or repress. Now, number two, the second way that we oftentimes handle our emotions is through expression. With this mechanism, the feeling is vented, verbalized, or stated in the body language and acted out in endless ways. The expression of negative feelings allow just enough of the inner pressure to be let out so that the remainder can then be suppressed. You see, repressed feelings are to be neutralized. They're supposed to be socialized and challenged into constructive drives of love, work, and creativity. So ultimately, we oftentimes find ourselves, the only way to deal with our emotions is we either suppress it or repress it, or we express it. And when we express it, ultimately that's usually through verbal command, meaning we talk to someone about it. That's why you see a therapist. That's why you see people and go to talk to them, just so that you can just, throw up on them ideally. And it's not a bad way, but here's what happens. And this is what we oftentimes forget. And this is what oftentimes is not shared about our healing, is that when we revisit that emotion, it is like PTSD. PTSD, in the essence, is you re-experiencing that moment as if it's real, which causes you emotional pain. So if you want to continue to feel your emotional pain, then continue to talk about it. There are certain times you'll feel just a little bit of, like I talk about, you'll feel a little bit of release. There'll be a little bit of, just enough of inner pressure to be released so that you can just repress the rest or suppress the rest, meaning push it down or run away from it. So ultimately, this is another way that's not good for you to really move through the emotion in and of itself, is that expression, because it's like taking a knife to the battle wound. You're just continuously cutting yourself open, and we got to make sure we slow that progress down. Not saying that this is a bad thing for you to do, to talk to people, because it's important to talk to people. I'm just saying that this can't be the only way. So the last way that we oftentimes run away from our experiences of our emotions is through escapisms. Now, escape is the avoidance of feelings through diversion or distraction. Ultimately, this avoidance is the backbone of the entertainment and liquor industries, and also the route for workaholics. Escapism was my form of running away and dealing with my emotions. Escapism and avoidance of the inner awareness is a socially condoned mechanism. We oftentimes can avoid our own inner selves and keep our feelings from emerging by an endless variety of pursuits, many of which eventually become addictions as our dependencies upon them grow. People are desperate to stay unconscious to what they're experiencing and feeling. We observe how often people flick on the television set the minute they enter a room and then walk around in a dreamlike state. You know what I'm talking about. Constantly being programmed by the data poured into them. People are terrified of facing themselves. This is the ultimate truth. If you can learn how to face your hurt, you will be able to heal your heart. They oftentimes dread even a moment of aloneness. Thus, they're in constant frantic activities, the endless socializing, the endless talking, texting, reading, music playing, working, traveling, sightseeing, shopping, overeating, gambling, movie going, pill taking, drug using, and cocktail partying and sex. Right? Ultimately, we use these escapisms to cause ourselves to not have to feel it, so that we can make sure that we no longer have to deal with ourselves. We don't have to face ourselves ultimately. So we oftentimes, you've got to understand that the three big ideas here, the three major ways of handling our emotions that don't oftentimes allow us to heal our emotions, is suppression, meaning we push it down. Repression, suppression, and repression is pushing it down. It's like we stuff it away, and then it usually emerges into our bodies, into our minds, into our headaches, into somatic illnesses and conditions. So then we express it. We oftentimes throw up on people, and then we re-experience the pain. And then lastly, we oftentimes run away into our phones, into the television, into another relationship. We try to sometimes get under someone in order to get over them. You know what I mean? We sometimes sleep around. Drugs, alcohol, partying, anything to do so that we just won't have to be alone. My friend, which one are you? Do you suppress it and push it away? Do you express it and talk about it? Or do you find yourself escaping it and running away? Well, ultimately, this week comes your exercises. Your exercises, I hope that you find them interesting and fun. Be sure to reach out to me, talk to me, and if you need help identifying them, your emotions and working through them, reach out to me. I am here for you. You know where you can find me nonetheless. But the first big idea here is you've got to exercise one. I'm going to also show you the worksheet. I'm going to give you the worksheet, but I'm not going to share that with you yet. But it's basically going to be an outline. I'm going to give you the outline now. And then once I give you the outline, you can then get the worksheet. And within that worksheet, you're going to then understand what you need to do. So for your exercises. So the exercise one is just know your harmful mechanisms. So ideally, you either suppress it, express it, or repress it, or escape it, right? So step number one is to identify which mechanism you use to handle all of your emotions. That's your first step. So you need to understand what way do you currently deal with your emotions. Do you suppress it and repress it by pushing it away and pushing it down? Do you express it by throwing up on other people, or do you escape it and run away, or do you do all three? In your journal or on your phone or wherever you want to keep it, ideally, I'd recommend a journal, but ultimately, I need you to identify which mechanism you use to handle your current emotions. Awareness is key to your healing. So understand if you're, suppressing, repressing, expressing, or escaping. Out of the three, which mechanism do you use and deal with your unwanted emotions the most? After you discover which ones you deal with the most, which mechanisms you ultimately deal with the most, or which mechanisms you ultimately run toward naturally, turn to, when you're in distress. What I want you to do is just ideally understand, hey, it's okay. Like, once again, my big mechanism was I just escaped it. I ran away. I played video games. I, had sex with other people. I slept under other people to get over other people, revenge, all of the things that we do that ultimately hurts us and causes more pain, more heartache, more troubles in our mind, body, heart, and soul. And ultimately, then step number two, after you identify which mechanism you are, you then got to understand and identify what your mechanism looks like in action. So it's one thing to know it, but then it's another thing to understand and understand how you act upon it. So when you are feeling the emotions you don't want to face, you don't want to feel, you try to, look away from, what is it that you actually do during that time? For example, some of my clients, they understand that they oftentimes use escapisms too. And when you use escapisms, he understood that he ran to Netflix. He just would turn on the television, and oftentimes his escapisms were Netflix and video games. And when that happens, he knows that he's not currently facing his reality. Therefore, he's not reclaiming his life, and he's not finding his happiness, because those things distract you and they don't fulfill you. They cause you more harm and hurt and loneliness than they do connection, love, and happiness. So what you understand what you do when you either suppress, repress, express, or escape that emotion. That's the next big idea. And what you'll do is you'll write it down in your journal. What does your mechanism of choice look like, so that you don't have to continue to feel what must be felt in order to heal it? Does that make sense? I hope so. So step two is going to help you discover what doesn't work when it comes to handling your emotions. This is the idea behind this. For example, step two, just a quick example of what this ideally looks like is, my mechanism personally of choice was escapism. I oftentimes found myself wanting to run away from my feelings that I didn't want to have to feel, stress and being overwhelmed by playing video games, watching the new House of Dragons, reading a book, and listening to music, all which do not help me to feel it in order to heal with it. Face it in order to heal it. Understand it, respect it, love it, accept it to heal it. When you ignore it, you don't heal it. When you don't face it, you don't heal it. You don't connect to it. You don't nurture it. You don't love it. You don't deal with it. And that's the point of this. You got to deal with it. You got to face it. You got to enjoy it, embrace it. It's going to build you into a better individual. It's going to build your character. It's going to grow you. It's going to help you become more emotionally wise and connected and in tune with your heart. It's going to help you move out of your hurt and move you into your heart. So now it's your turn. Go into depth here. The deeper you go, the better the outcome. The goal here is to find peace and freedom. So understand your mechanism, and then understand what action goes with that mechanism. Okay. Step number three, implement a new mechanism to help you feel, deal, and heal with your hurt. So once you understand that you're either suppressing, repressing, expressing, or escaping, and then you understand which action that you're currently taking to fulfill that expression, feel that escapisms, repression, or suppression, you need to then replace it with a better one, something that actually helps you to heal. Okay. And ultimately, once you experience and accept your mechanism, what's not currently helping you to work through the pain, you need to learn how to implement one of the new mechanisms that will actually help you to replace the current mechanism with a helpful mechanism to give you the results you seek, happiness. So what I want you to do here, and I'm going to give it to you, I'm going to ask you to open up the 10 Happiness Hacks ebook and pick out 1 to 3 things that you can do this week instead of suppressing, expressing, or escaping from the negative feelings. You're going to have this workbook to go with it. And ultimately with that, and I'm going to share that with you here in a couple of moments, but ultimately you're going to pick out 1 to 3 things that you can do instead of watching TV, instead of, just not talking to anybody, instead of talking to someone, instead of, the way that you're currently dealing with it. So that's exercise number 1. It's just all about knowing your harmful mechanisms and taking that mechanism, bringing it to your awareness, understanding how you use it, and then replacing it with a new one, something that's going to actually help you to process and release your emotions using the ebook. Exercise number 2 is about identifying your emotions in a healthier way. So I have 6 steps for you to identify your emotions in a healthier way. Okay, the first big idea is each day, every single time you feel an emotion that you don't want to feel, you must identify it. You must call it out, you must write it down, and you must understand why you're currently feeling it and where it came from. That's a big point. If you need to go back and re-listen to that, make sure you catch that. This will help you to see a pattern in your life. Oftentimes we find ourselves unable to move through or move on simply because we have created bad, hurtful, and harmful patterns of thoughts, feelings, emotions, and actions, that cause us to suffer more than to heal more. So what you'll need to do here is what you'll see is that there are only a few thoughts and feelings that you get hung up on. They're not endless thoughts. They're just the same 3 or 4 thoughts. We repeat these same thoughts. So you're only hung up on maybe 4 thoughts, maybe 5 thoughts, but you're only hung up on a few thoughts. And bringing awareness to this is going to help you understand that, I'm not suffering about a lot of things. It's just 1, 2 things, and I can deal with 1 or 2 things. But when we don't write it down, when we're not aware of it, we feel like it's too overwhelming, too much to handle, and the turmoil kicks in, and the responsibility of hurt and harm and problems within our mind and our bodies take place. So here's what I want you to do for exercise 2 when you identify your emotions in a healthier way. This will allow you to control your emotions rather than your emotions to control you. So if you're ready for that, here's step 1. You're going to download or print out the feeling wheel. So the idea behind this feeling wheel here, you're going to see it. I'll share my screen with you again. This is a beautiful, beautiful sheet. The feeling wheel. If you haven't experienced the feeling wheel before, this is so powerful. So oftentimes these are our core emotions that we currently experience. Sometimes we're fearful, bad, surprised, happy, sad, or disgusted. So here we go. So when you currently feel something, let's say you're feeling fearful. You can say like, I'm just fearful, and I'm fearful of the future, and I don't know what that looks like without them. Well, is it because you are actually scared, anxious? Are you actually insecure, weak? You feel rejected? Maybe you're even threatened. So let's just say, well, I'm feeling fear because I'm actually feeling really anxious. I feel actually what happens, where's this anxiousness stem from? And actually, I'm feeling overwhelmed and worried because I have to do everything by myself now. I don't have my partner beside my side, and now I have to take everything on by myself. So I'm really feeling overwhelmed. Do you understand what I mean? You're not just feeling fearful. You're actually feeling overwhelmed because you have to be alone in this battle that you're fighting alone. And the only person that you feel like could heal it is if your ex came back, which is not the truth. We're going to work through that as we continue to spend time together. So here we go. Oh, that's the big idea here. But you're going to download or print out the feeling wheel. That's the first big idea. And once you fill that out, then you're going to learn how to deal with your emotions by identifying what you're feeling. So just take a moment to think about what you're feeling, because it's going to be very beneficial for you. It will help you to center yourself, increase your self-awareness, and connect deeper to yourself and to your heart. By naming your feeling, you can be with them rather than let them take over and control your behavior. When you have a painful experience, when you have a painful emotion such as fear, anger, disgust, sadness, maybe feeling bad, surprised, or happiness, whatever, emotion you're currently experiencing, you may feel so overwhelmed by them that you just can't distinguish what in the world am I actually precisely experiencing. The emotion you're feeling is what. So it's going to be important for you to use that feeling wheel to understand what is the deeper emotion behind the first emotion that you feel like you're currently experiencing. So then what you want to do after you name it, and you're like, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Then you're going to give yourself space to allow yourself to just be with it. Just sit with it. Just get to know it. Respect it. Listen to it. Open up to it. Allow it to be without trying to change it. Don't push it away. Remember, pushing it away is suppression and repression. So do not do that because it's not going to help you heal it. Once you've identified your emotion, recognize that it's serving a helpful purpose. It's meant to guide you toward happiness. You see, emotions, like I talked about earlier, provide you feedback on your actions. Positive emotions let you know that you're doing something right, okay? And negative emotions signal that you need to alter something. For this reason, negative emotions, or what we like to call action signals, are actually invaluable to you because they guide you to the life that you truly want to live and understand how to use them. So as you identify the emotions and embrace the emotions that you're currently experiencing, you must resist the urge to label an emotion as bad or wrong. And instead, just embrace all the emotions that you're currently experiencing as helpful feedback. Thank you, emotion, for allowing me to experience this, knowing that, I'm not living in alignment to who and what I want to be. So when you acknowledge and appreciate your painful emotion, it oftentimes becomes less intense for you. So after you understand that, you give yourself space, just allow it, just sit with it. That's all I'm asking. You've identified it and you're literally going to write it down on a piece of paper and you're going to just sit with it and be like, yep, this is it. This is the feeling that I'm experiencing. I'm not trying to change it. I'm just allowing it to be heard, felt, loved, trusted, right? Because a lot of our pain stems from not being heard, felt, loved, or, trusted. So we need to do that with our own emotions in order to win over our emotions, in order to reclaim our life and our happiness. So the step number 4 is you're going to journal about the feeling, name it, and understand the why behind it. So understanding the why behind something will help you to gain clarity that you need in order for you to overcome it. Pretty simple, right? Ask yourself the following questions that you can actually journal to. What emotion am I currently experiencing? Why am I feeling this emotion? Why don't I like feeling this emotion? What would I rather be feeling? What am I willing to do to help myself feel the way that I actually want to feel? What am I willing to no longer do in order to stop feeling this way? And how can I enjoy the process while I do what is necessary for me to create the life that I want? And these are all going to be in the exercise show notes. So if you're being like, okay, Tyler, you're going through this too quickly, I can't write everything down. No, relax. It's okay. You got time. That's why you can hit replay. So you can pause it and start, pause and start. Ultimately, you're going to get this in the client worksheet, your worksheet here. And then step 5 is to hold space for that. Now that you know your emotion, you wrote it down, you wrote down the reasons why you're feeling it. I just need you to once again sit with it. Okay. Sit with it for a bit without trying to change it. While sitting with it, I just need you to recognize your physical sensation, your shakiness, your tension, where are you holding the tension in your body? Identify where you're holding your emotion in your body and name it and describe it. I am feeling worthless and carrying that emotion in my chest because I don't believe I was enough in my relationship. Remember, the deeper that you go, the more freedom you will experience. And finally, step 6 here is to focus on the feeling without trying to change the feeling. Just allow it to be. Okay. So here is my screen that you're going to get. This is the worksheet. So worksheet 1, exercise 1, know your harmful mechanic. So step 1 is to identify which mechanic that you use. Okay, you'll just write it down. The mechanic or the mechanism that I currently use to help me deal with my unwanted emotions is which one? Step number 2, identify what your mechanism looks like in action. Step 3, implement a new mechanism to help you feel, deal, and heal your hurt. Remember, this is with the ebook. And exercise number 2, that's just exercise number 1. Once again, this is going to help you to know your mechanism. You're going to identify it. You're going to understand it. And then you're going to replace it with a new mechanism using that ebook. And then exercise number 2, identify your emotions in a healthier way. So you're going to print out the sheet right here. There it is. You're going to print that out. And then you're going to ideally step in by dealing with it is by identifying it. When you want to deal with it, you got to identify it. Give yourself some space just to be with it. Okay. This is all I mean by this is you've recognized it. You're hearing it. You're accepting it. It's like, this is the emotion. That's the space that you're creating. It's just like, I hear you. That's all you need to do. Because a lot of us, remember, as soon as we feel it, we suppress it, repress it, express it, or escape it. We can't keep doing that. We got to just give ourselves space to allow it to be. So once we identify it, don't run away from it. Just allow it to be, give it space, and then you're going to journal through it. Okay. And then you got some of the prompts here that you can journal through. And then lastly, whoa, did you see that? Boom. Okay. Step 5, hold space for it. Okay, be present with it, hold space with it, sit with it, respect it, love on it, appreciate it, move through it. And that's the step one for this week. It's really just, you got to start identifying your emotions, friends. You got to quit repressing it, suppressing it, or escaping it. You got to allow yourself to identify it, understand it, and then really just allow yourself to sit with it and accept it, love on it, appreciate it, being like, yes, I hear you and I feel you, and it's going to be okay. You're going to journal through it. You're going to understand it more. When you understand something more, you're going to be able to reclaim your life over it a little bit more. You're going to feel more in control of it a little bit more. And as we continue on throughout the next couple of modules and videos, you're going to understand how to take full control of that emotion. See you in the next video.